Can you walk with your closed eyes on the road or anywhere? Can we do any work with our closed eyes? Can you balance yourself in one leg like this? How you do balancing? How this thing happens? Who is doing this work? Everything we will learn, we will study, we will see in today's video. So let's start the video. Namaskar, hello and welcome back to Gyanyatre Rupraj. So, we have seen the various examples of control and coordination. Yes, our body is doing any action, any mechanism by a controlled way, right? There is a system which is controlling it, coordinating it. If I am talking and with my words, if the hand is moving, this is a coordination, right? So, the control and coordination, in this chapter we will discuss about the animals, how in animals control and coordination takes place, and then in plants. So in today's video we will discuss about the control and coordination in animals. So you have already seen the previous videos. If you have not seen, you just go back, pause the video and go back and you see the life processes videos, and then you can come to here. So this coordination, control and coordination in animals, this is controlled by two systems. Yes, control and coordination is done by two systems in animals. One system we called it as nervous system, and another we called it as hormonal system. Nervous system and hormonal system. So in today's video, we will only cover the nervous system, and then in the next video, we will discuss about the hormonal system. So, nervous system. This nervous system is composed of a small unit structure which is doing the work, right? And this structure you have already studied in class 9 in the tissue chapter. Remember the 4 types of tissues which we have discussed in the class 9, and what could be here? Can you guess? Nervous system, which tissue? Yes, nervous tissue, neuron. So, neuron or nerve cell is working as a unit structure which is doing the function of nervous system. So, this nervous system is fully composed of this neuron, the nervous tissues, right? So, this is only taking the information, responding according to the information, just retrieving the information, processing the information, everything is done by this neuron, right? So if we see this neuron is taking the information, right? I have said the neuron is taking the information, but from where this is taking the information? Could you see me? Yes, you are watching me. Could you hear my voice? Yes, you can hear my voice. I'm talking, right? I'm pinching it. I can feel it. If you pinch, you just pinch it, you will feel it, right? What are these? From where we are getting the information? Remember the earlier in previous classes we have already discussed about sense organs. Sense organs. So these sense organs are receiving or retrieving the informations. So how many sense organs? How many? 5 sense organs. For an example, eye, then ears, then nose, then tongue, and then skin. Right? These are the 5 sense organs. Now, all these sense organ has receptors, right? The receptor function is to receive the information. If I'm touching my skin, I'm feeling that I have touched, right? This is pressed, right? Someone has touched. So this skin is having receptor. Eyes is having receptor, right? So for an example, eyes. This eyes is having receptor known as photoreceptor. Photoreceptors. The photoreceptors, what it do? It detect the light. It detect the light, right? It detect light. Ears is having phonoreceptor, right? Phonoreceptors. What it do? It detect sound. Yeah. Skin is having tangoreceptor. And what it do? It detect the touch, right? The nose is having olfactory receptor. And this is doing the function of detecting the smell. And then tongue is having the gustatory receptor. And this is doing the function of taste. Right? So like this 5 sense organ is receiving the information. Different receptors are present, and accordingly the different informations are retrieving. This is taken up by the neuron. Yes, this is taken up by the neuron. So if it is the neuron is connected with the skin, from skin it is taking the information of touching, different touch, and then different others receptors are also present in the skin and then in eyes also. But I'm just simplifying it right now. So this is the structure of the neuron. What happened? This part, remember what is this part is called? Dendrite, right? So this dendrite, what this dendrite is doing? This dendrite is retrieving the information. And remember this, with the structure, the questions comes in the board examinations. So you just remember this thing. It's a very important part, right? So it may be asked where the information is received, right? Where the information is received in the neuron. So the information is received by the dendrite. So this dendrite is connected with the receptors, different receptors present in the sense organs. So it is retrieving the information, and then it is coming to the cell body. This is nucleus, right? This is coming to the cell body, and then where the information travels in the form of electric impulse. Now when this information is received, it is travel in the form of electric impulse, right? So when it is travels through axon, so it is travels through axon, and then where this electric impulse is get transmitted to chemical signal. So this chemical signal, it will get transmitted to chemical signal in the nerve ending. In the nerve ending. So these things questions asked indirectly. Label this part where the information is retrieved or received, where it travels, like this they ask, and you have just to draw and then you have to label it. Now you can see the information received from the receptors and then it is passing. Now after this what? Another neuron. But here is a twist. This neuron, and I said chemical. In nerve ending what happened? This electric impulse is transmitting, sending chemical information, right? Why is this chemical? An electric impulse is traveling because it is very fast. You see, if I'm touching, I'm just getting it, the signal. Okay, yes, someone has touched, or I myself touched my hand, right? This is very fast because of the electric impulse. If there is no electric impulse, it will be very slow. So electric impulse goes, and then what happened? So you can see this is another neuron I have drawn. You can see there is a gap between this region, right? There is a gap between these two neurons. So if we make it enlarge, this is the nerve ending, right? And there is another, suppose there is another neuron, right? This is nerve ending and there is another neuron. Now what is happening? The signal is coming, right? The electric impulse is coming. Here in the nerve ending, there is a vacuole structure which contains neurotransmitter. The chemicals which I have said, this chemical called neurotransmitter, right? This chemical, this neurotransmitter, due to the electric impulse, it will push out and will release here in the gap. And in the gap, when it will release this chemical information, messenger neurotransmitter will give the information which is received by the receptor to the another neuron, and then this neuron again converted this chemical information in electric impulse, and then it will carry it out. So this thing happen in this gap, and this gap is known as synapse. This gap is known as synapse, right? So this gap is called synapse. So the gap between the two neuron is known as synapse. What happened there? Neurotransmitter release. Neurotransmitter release and then forward the information to the another neuron, right? Now the gap is because so that it will not overlap each other, overtake each other, and then there should not be any damage to the neurons, right? So this is what the neuron is working. Clear? Now we will see the classification of nervous system. The nervous system is classified into central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and many more are there, but here we will only see the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. This central nervous system is further classified into two categories. One is brain, means brain is coming under this central nervous system, then spinal cord, right? This brain is here, the spinal cord is present in the backbone, inside the backbone, right? This peripheral is cranial, the peripheral is classified into cranial nerves and spinal nerves, right? So peripheral nervous system is classified into two categories, cranial nerves and spinal nerves. This cranial nerves arises out from the brain, the spinal nerves comes out from the spinal cord, right? So we will again not discuss about this in details. We will see this one, the central nervous system. And central nervous system, first we will see how the spinal cord is working, right? How the spinal cord is working. What happened when you unknowingly touch a hot vessel? Unknowingly, you just pull out your hand, pull back your hand, right? Something which is we do unknowingly, at that moment itself, without understanding, our body is getting an action, right? This is called a sudden action, a reflex action, right? So this reflex action, what happened in this reflex action? This spinal cord is working, right? In this reflex action, the spinal cord is working, where immediate response, anything, immediate input, any fast input has been given, came, so for that an immediate action has to be planned and has to be responded. Because our brain is very complex organ and it is doing many work, right? So brain is doing many work. See, emergency situation means you have to take the decision at present now itself. Then what spinal cord do? They provide the information and then they do the work and then they provide the information later on to the brain. and then after that brain recognizes, acha, this thing happened. Sometimes this happen. Maybe it happens to you. You are playing, and after playing is over, play is over, game is over, you came to your class or in your home room, and then you realize that your leg is burning. Suppose you are playing football, and then your leg is burning, and then you saw a big cut, and you don't know when it happened, but it was happening during the play, right? So this is what you are playing. Your brain was engaging in playing, right? That time spinal cord has given the action. Somewhere maybe you have got cut somehow, right? And then spinal cord has sent the information, and you have pulled back your leg. But now the brain is saying something happened. We have to treat it, right? Some injuries happen, and then we have to treat it. That's why after playing, when your brain got relaxed, right, from that particular work, that is game, play, now you come to know that something we have to do. So this reflex action, how this thing happened, we will see. The sense organ is receiving the information. The sense organ is receiving the information, right? This information will be further carried out by sensory neuron. Sensory neuron, yes. This sensory neuron will enter into the spinal cord, right? This will enter into the spinal cord. In spinal cord, the information will be interpreted by another neuron, and this neuron we called relay neuron. Okay, so this information will be interpreted by another neuron which we called relay neuron, and then it will decide the action, and then this action will be sent to another neuron. It is known as motor neuron. And this motor neuron will provide this information to the muscles. It will provide this information to the muscle, and then the muscle will work accordingly. So you can see the information is going to the spinal cord and it's coming back, and action is happening, right? So, and it is in a reflex way, in a very immediate response. So that's why arc, you can see it is forming an arc. Mathematics mein arc is there, right? So this is forming an arc. That's why this arc which is forming in the reflex action, we called it as reflex arc. Yes, reflex arc. Now this spinal cord will later on, it will send the information to the brain. So this is how the reflex action is happening, and it is controlling by the spinal cord. Yeah, later the brain will get the information, right? So I hope you are clear with this one. Now we will see how the brain, which is a very complex organ, is working, right? Let's see, we will do this one. Now we will see this complex mechanism or this complex part of our body, the organ, right? So now what you are doing, you are working this one to know this one, right? So human brain, this human brain, as it is very much crucial for our body to control and coordinate, that's why this is protected, right, by these three things. This is protected by cranium. Cranium is nothing but the skull, right? Cranium is the skull, right? So it is protected by skull. Then the brain is having three layer membrane, right? So the brain is having 3-layer membrane, and which is also protecting the brain. And then between the skull and the brain, this layer membrane brain, there is a fluid present. This fluid is called cerebrospinal fluid, right? So cerebrospinal fluid, which is also in short, it is known as CSF. It is in short, we call it as CSF. So cerebrospinal fluid is also protecting the brain. How? This gap, between this gap, this fluid is present. So what is it is doing? It is avoiding the friction with the skull, right? The CSF is avoiding the friction with the skull, and hence it is protecting. It's like you are keeping a balloon in the water, so it is floating. It's not getting fixed out. It is not getting touched with the surface, so that it will not burst out. Likewise, the brain is getting protected with this 3 layer. Now, the brain is divided in 3 categories, right? It has been in 3 parts. It has been divided. Forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain, right? The forebrain is further classified into 2 categories, right? Just as per your syllabus, we will go. When you will go in higher classes, you will find more complex form or structure of this brain, right? So this forebrain is classified into cerebrum and hypothalamus, right? So it is classified into cerebrum and hypothalamus. So the forebrain, it is doing the voluntary action, right? Whatever action we perform voluntarily, means if I am talking, this is my voluntary function. If I want, my food has to get digested, it will not get digested. The brain will function it involuntary, right? So this forebrain part is doing the voluntary action. This midbrain and hindbrain is doing the involuntary action, over which we don't have any control, right? If you want to go to urine, then whether you have the control over it, it will, when the pressure will come, it will, obviously you have to run away, right? So there is something which is heartbeat. You can't control over heartbeat. So there is something which we can't control, that is involuntary. It will do according to the brain wants, and where we want the brain, we will send the information to the brain, and accordingly it will happen, right? This cerebrum is having 3 important areas. So the cerebrum is having 3 important areas. We called it as sensory areas, motor areas, and then associated areas, right? So sensory areas, motor areas, they are taking the information. Sensory areas taking the information, motor areas is doing the information. So cerebrum is mainly taking the information like hearing, sight, vision, right, smelling. And associated area, what it is doing, it is just interpret the information, right? Interpret the information taken from the sensory areas, right? So from sensory areas, whatever information has been taken, it is interpreting. So, and you should remember that even our memory is also in the forebrain. So if you say, I don't remember this thing and I don't remember that thing, so it is completely depend on you, right? If you give interest, you can remember anything. If you look something very much in a minute details, you will remember it, right? So memory is also associated with this cerebrum only, in the forebrain only, right? What this hypothalamus is doing? This hypothalamus is, we will see another function of this hypothalamus, but here this hypothalamus is mainly responsible with the hunger. Whenever we feel urge of eating, right? Bhook laga, and then this, right? Or we feel, okay, this much I have ate, my hunger is over. So hunger, sleep, thirst, right? All these are associated with this hypothalamus. Midbrain, as I have said, midbrain is doing the involuntary action. So it is doing the involuntary reflexes of head, eyes, right? For an example, if I am talking and I am talking and I am so much engaged in talking, And along with that talk, I'm moving my hand, I'm blinking my eyes, right? So this is what is happening. This is everything is midbrain, the function of midbrain, where I am not actually doing voluntarily, but this involuntarily this happening, right? Even change of pupil, change of size of pupil is present in the eyes. You have seen, you have observed, whenever you go to a sunlight, you from a dark room, you can't at that moment you can't able to see directly, or if you are coming from a bright light to a dark room, you can't able to concentrate or see clearly what is there in that room, right? After some time it get adjust. So this pupil is getting a size small or larger, so that it allows the entry of the light, right? So this is also not in our control, right? Change of size of the pupil size. So these are some involuntary reflexes which we are doing without having control over it, right? Now we will see the hindbrain. Hindbrain is consist of cerebellum, pons and medulla. So this cerebellum, pons and medulla, what they are doing the work? The cerebellum is controls the equilibrium and body posture. Controls the equilibrium and body posture. Now what is this? This is something, if I am walking on a rod or something like this, right? So I am balancing it. Riding a bicycle, you are balancing it. When you ride a bicycle, you balance it, right? And then walking in a straight line, you're making yourself to walk in a straight line. I'm standing very straightly. Now you see, you're not sitting properly, or you're sleeping, right? Your body posture is not correct. Who is doing this one? When you engage in something, very interestingly, when you engage in something, you go deeper and deeper into it, and then your body posture also gets changed. This is everything is controlled by cerebellum, and it is involuntary. Then also you should recognize that I have to sit properly so that my backbone should be straight, right? Or else what will happen? Backbone problem, right? So this body posture, walking in a straight line, lifting something, right? When we are lifting something, so that is also our body posture. How our body posture is, everything is getting maintained by this. Riding a bicycle, so this is everything is controlled by the cerebellum. The pons, what it do? The pons are controls the breathing. Yeah, that breathing which is happening, because we are not controlling it. We don't remember when it's going in and when it's coming out. When we give concentration on it, or when we do the what is this? What we call pranayam, right? Yeah. So pranayam, when we do that time, we control the breath. But after that, or whole day, or when we sleep, that time, so the pons is doing this controlling of this breathing process, right? And then another thing the pons is doing, it is coordinating the different parts of the brain, right? It is coordinating the function of different parts of brain. Yeah, the role of medulla. What medulla is doing? Vomiting, yeah. Defecation, going to toilet. Medulla. Salivation, when we see a food, the water comes in the mouth. Imli ka achar, then momos, then noodles, these things when you see, so you get water on your mouth, right? Now also maybe you're thinking and getting water, different food items. So this salivation, medulla, and so many things, I'm just writing it. So what I have said, salivation, urinating, going for urination, urging of urine, defecation, going to toilets, right? And then heartbeat, our heartbeat is also controlled by this one. Blood pressure, vomiting, right? Like this different functions are doing by the medulla, right? So we have seen that how the brain, as it is a very complex one and doing a different roles and playing a very good way in controlling and coordination, right? Now what is happening? Nervous tissue, how it is doing the action. Now whatever action, we have seen how it is receiving, how it is doing action, right? So nervous tissues, how it is doing the action, right? So what it is doing, it is sending the information to the muscles. This is next topic. So we are saying this information from nervous tissue, it is sending to the muscle, right? When the last nervous tissue which gets end up in the muscle, suppose this is a muscle, this is the structure of the muscles, striated muscle, right? Remember? Yeah. Dark, light and dark band, light and dark band. So when this nervous tissue, right, it is getting end into the muscle, what is happening? The neurotransmitter again releasing into the muscle. When the neurotransmitter is getting released into the muscle, the energy ATP is required here, and due to this, what will happen? When the signal will get, the muscle will start contracting and relaxation. With this contraction and relaxation, the muscle works and we are doing whatever we want. If from my brain, if I am saying with the talking, you coordinate with the hand also. The words and hand, you coordinate with this. So what is happening? This signal is going to the muscle and I am working it. So contraction and relaxation is happening, right? When we are doing something very, this is getting contract, the muscles are getting contract, and then relaxation. If you tighten it up, it is contracting. Loosen up, relaxing. This function, the role, how the muscles works, that also you will learn in details in your class 11. Yeah, in class 11 you will study, if you will going with the interest of biology. So I hope you will go with the interest of biology. So that's it, my dear, from today's video. Be with me, share it, like it, and please don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe button will come here, subscribe it and share your loves, and we will continue this topic, this chapter actually in the next video, and that is what we have already said, hormonal system we have to study. So we will go ahead with this hormonal system. Thank you, bye bye, namaskar.